If the fact that Vince McMahon sunk millions of dollars into a failed bodybuilding promotion wasn't obvious enough, Vinnie Mac loves bodybuilders. They seem to go hand in hand after all, as tons of pro wrestlers throughout the years have had a background in wearing thongs and flexing on stage. We guess they lifted some really heavy weights too. Here are 10 WWE wrestlers who were bodybuilders. Ultimate Warrior. Perhaps more than any other wrestler in WWE history, the Ultimate Warrior got by on looks alone. I mean, just look at him. It looks like he's perpetually high on stimulants, and he's got so much energy that even Sonic the Hedgehog is telling him to slow down. That incredibly ripped physique is due in large part to his previous career as an amateur bodybuilder. From the age of 11, Warrior was drawn to lifting weights simply because he didn't like any other sport. Warrior not liking to work with other people? We would have never guessed. He fell in love with bodybuilding, though, by running into acclaimed bodybuilders like Robbie Robinson while in college in California. His career lasted a few years in the early 80s, with his final competition coming in 1985, nabbing 5th place at the NPC Nationals. Warrior admitted in an interview that he always had trouble looking good the day of a contest and always looked better the next day. Maybe he needed some face paint. Shortly after that contest, he was contacted by a group of wrestlers, including Sting, to join a wrestling team. Lo and behold, the legend of the Jim Justice Hellwig was born. His original name needed work. Ivan Putski. Not exactly the biggest name on the list per se, or even one of the biggest bodies. But if we're talking about physique, it's hard to top Ivan Putski, a legend from the 1970s in the WWF. When the 3 W's come out, that's when you know it's old. Despite only weighing in at 243 pounds, only in pro wrestling can we say only weighed 243 pounds. For the most part of his career, the Polish Hammer's musculature is ridiculous. Check out this picture of his neck here. We have no idea what's going on there, but it looks scary, and we're just gonna go hide in a corner now if you don't mind. Not to mention his gargantuan arms and comically large chest. This is the kind of stuff that people would get accused of photoshopping, but this is all legit. His actual competition record in bodybuilding is sparse, but he did come in 14th place in the 1982 NPC USA Championships. Putski also competed in several strongman competitions. You know, the ones where you have to carry a giant stone or pull planets on a giant chain. Okay, maybe that was Superman, but close enough. For his numerous accomplishments across sports and entertainment, give this hammer a hand. Caitlyn. Those who lived throughout the Attitude Era might have been horrified by the sight of Nicole Bass. She was WWE's resident female bodybuilder alongside Chyna, and let's just say she wasn't hired for the same reason that Sable was. That doesn't mean that female bodybuilders can't look hot. Enter WWE NXT Season 3 winner Celeste Bonin, aka Caitlyn. This former WWE Divas champion came from the realm of bodybuilding and took to pro wrestling well. In the world of giant bulging veins, Bonin would place first in the 2007 John Sherman Classic Bodybuilding Figure and Fitness Championships. She also competed in the 2008 IFBB Arnold Classic, where she snagged the 5th spot. She didn't necessarily need all those muscles when she was wrestling though. After all, AJ Lee looks as light as a feather. While she trimmed down to get into WWE ring shape, she left the company in 2014 to focus on a fitness line of products called Celestial Bodies. She's not on your television screens anymore, but you can still ogle her on her fantastic Instagram. Triple H. It's all about the weight and how you lift it. It's all about control, and if you can't take it, see, with just a few words, we can make Triple H's theme song about bodybuilding, which makes a lot of sense, because as big of a mark that Triple H is for wrestling, he also loves him some pumping iron. Heck, he wrote a whole book about the subject back in 2004. In said book, The Game credits bodybuilding for taking his skinny frame from 135 pounds as a 14-year-old to the giant slab of muscle and nose we see before us. Everything ties back to wrestling though, as he took it up because he wanted to look like the pro wrestlers he saw all the time on TV. To do that, Triple H trained at the Muscles in Motion gym out of his hometown in Nashua, New Hampshire. Trying to keep up with other bodybuilders at the gym, the Game would have to puke between sets so he could continue on. No wonder he and Vince McMahon got along together so well. The Great Khali. The great Khali is a gigantic man. Coming in at 7 feet 1 inch tall and weighing well over 300 pounds, he is a mammoth. He also moves like one too, but we're not here to discuss Khali's glacial speed. While he is big, his physique was never especially cut in the WWE. To see Khali in his physical prime, you have to look to his bodybuilding career. The amount of time Khali spent in the sport is unclear, but several pictures have made the rounds online showcasing the Indian Goliath. In these photos, he is much more cut and he lacks the flab that would stay with him for his WWE career. Let's not forget that Khali was also a police officer. Imagine getting pulled over for a speed limit violation by this monster. If Khali looked the way he did in those pictures right now, he could team up with Jinder Mahal and be the most terrifying looking foreign heels this side of the Koloff brothers. Quiz time! In the early 1990s, Vince McMahon failed spectacularly to create a bodybuilding organization as a rival to the IFBB. With that came a line of supplement products. What was it called? Answer comes at the end of the video. Tony Atlas. By far the most proficient bodybuilder to make this list, Anthony White, aka Tony Atlas, had the most accomplished professional career in the sport. Atlas not only took the pro wrestling world by storm through the 1970s and 1980s, but also racked up accomplishments other wrestlers can only dream of. First off, Atlas was not only a bodybuilder, but also a power lifter. This is actually rarer than you think, as both sports have different goals, but Atlas was quite a rare breed. His record bench press is 600 pounds, while weighing 270 pounds in 1985. Still considered a pretty incredible feat by today's standards. He won the prestigious Mr. USA competition 3 times, and even won the Mr. Universe contest twice. So yeah, he was not only one of the strongest guys in the United States, but in the universe. Well, until we find out that aliens light years away are Hulk-sized monsters who pop steroids like Tic Tacs. The even crazier thing is that Atlas probably didn't reach his full potential. Black Superman struggled with drug addiction throughout the 80s, and it's a scary thought about what a sober Atlas could have been capable of. Batista. While he's currently kicking ass and making us all laugh out loud in his role as Drax the Destroyer in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Batista was first and foremost a wrestler. It took him a couple of years to figure out his identity, but once he did, he ascended to the top of the WWE. This can largely be credited with his comic book-esque physique. He got this way from a career in bodybuilding prior to wrestling. While bodybuilding, Batista's weight hit a giant 350 pounds, and by the age of 30, he decided to give up hopes of making it big. Batista was competing against people that were 10 inches shorter, but the same weight as him. He felt he didn't have the frame for bodybuilding. As time was running out for the animal, he felt he needed to take his shot for pro wrestling, and we think it's fair to say that it worked out well for him. If not for John Cena, he definitely would have been the face who ran the place for years. Sting. For a guy who went on to become one of the most incredible wrestlers in pro wrestling history, it's amazing that Sting has zero interest in it early in his life. Instead, Sting was interested in football, basketball, and, oh yes, bodybuilding. While his actual competition record is hard to track down, we definitely know he had an interest. Not only did he break into the pro wrestling circuit at the same time as the Ultimate Warrior, but he also co-owned a Gold's Gym health club in Southern California. He was likely going to be a health guru that was going to shout slogans at you as you squat until you bled out your eyes before he attended his first wrestling show. When he went, he was enthralled by the Iron Sheik, the British Bulldogs, Andre the Giant, and several other performers. From there, he knew what he wanted to do with his life, and he became a success in a crazy short amount of time. No matter if you're a wrestling fan of the 80s, 90s, or 2000s, you have to be happy that Sting ditched the Speedos for long pants inside the squared circle. Alexa Bliss. One of the biggest rising stars in the WWE at the moment, Alexa Bliss clawed her way out of NXT and has knocked it out of the park on the main roster. She is the top heel in the women's division across both brands and is a multiple-time champion. We're just lucky that she didn't stick with her previous endeavor, bodybuilding. For those who don't know, Bliss suffered from anorexia throughout high school and college. At one point, she hit 80 pounds, a dangerously unhealthy weight for any adult. It was soon after where Bliss turned to bodybuilding, and she credits that with saving her life. With that, she got her life back together, and she competed at the Arnold Classic. She was also one of the youngest people ever to receive their IFBB professional status at the age of 19. Damn, at 19, we weren't even thinking about lifting a weight, let alone being a pro at the highest level. Bliss signed to the WWE in the spring of 2013, and while we may not think of her as especially strong, we cannot forget where she came from. John Cena. There's a reason why John Cena has remained at the top of the WWE for so many years. No, it's not his great promos. No, it's not his tremendous in-ring work. No, it's not his merchandise sales. God damn it, we mean his amazing physique. Well, if you thought Cena is muscular now, wait till you get a load of him in a thong. It's only been mentioned a couple of times on WWE television, thank you CM Punk, but it's true. John Cena's original career path was not down the road of oiled-up, sweaty men. Okay, it was, but of a different sort. Cena moved to Venice Beach, California back in 1999 to start the path of a bodybuilder. He trained at Gold's Gym alongside tons of elite bodybuilders while barely making ends meet. He competed only a few times, most notably at the 1999 NPC Iron Man Magazine Naturally contest, where he lost to highly accomplished bodybuilder Todd Smith. Cena, we really wish that we could unsee you now, because those veins popping out of your body are freaking us out. We wonder if Nikki Bella would prefer this Cena over the current one. Squad, get to Twitter and figure it out. So what was the line of products that McMahon failed to sell? Well, that would be ICO Pro, short for Integrated Conditioning Program. It has often been mocked by wrestlers from the early 90s for being, well, terrible.